Hey, welcome to my YouTube channel VAST.U and to my first series in which we are going to learn how to create a reusable script. Now in this video particularly, we will have a script at the end of this video by which you can create a zebra crossing just by one simple click, and a curve is an input. So I hope you follow along through the video, and I have also added an image of the script which you can download in the descriptions down below, which can help you for future reference too. So without any further delay, let's get started. So this is the script that we are going to do, and the first thing that is here I'm going to select is the curve. That is the first input and the only input that you are going to need from the Rhino. And there are 6 different parameters that you can adjust this script onto. So the first is the scaling factor, and this is only because we need our stripes not to start just from the start of the line, but actually to keep a little bit of distance from the curve and to start after that, because that's how in reality it is. It will never start from the exact edge of the curve. The second would be the width. The width is basically the width of the crossing. Third would be the stripe width. Now with this you can change the stripe width of the zebra crossing, how dense you want, how thick you want. And the fifth would be the scale line. Now this is one more step towards better detailing, is because if you know that you're gonna need a zebra crossing at the edge, there would be different conditions with the edge line. Now sometimes you might need a line a little bit short towards the inside of the curve and a little bit longer, just like in this case on the outside of the curve. Now one reason to do that is because if you are making another zebra crossing here, then you might need the line until here, so a little bit shorter. So you can change this as per your convenience and need of your project. Now the final one is the line thickness, and this basically is the thickness of this edge line, and this you can again modify as per your need. You can keep it 0 if you just need a zebra crossing, which in few cases I think it would be useful to just keep the stripes. And I'm gonna show you in the next video one more quick use of this to make the road lanes. Now let's get moving forward and start this script from 0. So I'm just gonna hide this thing and start the whole script from 0. So the first input, obviously we will need a curve, which will be the input curve from the Rhino. So I'm just gonna set one curve from here. Perfect. And the first thing we want to input is the scaling factor, as I showed. So we are gonna pick the midpoint of the curve by curve middle. Just gonna put it here. And now I'm gonna put a scale factor here. Perfect. And then the factor would be, I will just keep 1.2 so that we have a numerical scale bigger than 1 from 0. So for now I'm just gonna set it to 1. And here we have a scaled line. Now I'm gonna start with offsetting the line on both the sides. So I'm just gonna keep an offset curve here, and the distance could be, I don't know, 1.2 for now, and we can change it later. So the distance would be 1.2, which seems pretty good for now. And then I'm just gonna put it here. Always remember to again name, put the name is per because you are gonna come back to the same script and probably get confused if you don't put the name of the sliders here. So I'm just gonna put a scale here, and then half width, because this will be the half width. We are gonna need one more side, so I'm just gonna put it half width here and probably put one more offset line. But in this case I'm just gonna click expression here and put -x, so that every digit or number that goes into this expression converts into a negative value, so that we have one more offset on the other side. Now that we have two different lines, what we are gonna need to do is make those stripes. So to start the making stripes, we need lines for that. So I'm just gonna divide these lines into different points, and I'll use divide distance seems good. So let's just keep divide distance, and the distance to divide would be, I don't know. So that distance of division would actually be the strip width of the zebra crossing, or the zebra stripe width in this case. So let's keep it, I don't know, 0.5 for now, which would be like 500 mm. Yeah, this seems pretty good. Now we are gonna do the same with the line on the other side. So now we have two sets of point, and what we are going to do is just make lines between these. So I'm just gonna put a line start and end. I'm just gonna put start here and here. So it's gonna pick one point from each list and then connect lines accordingly. Now what we need is basically to tell we need to tell Grasshopper that we need to make surfaces but on consecutive two lines. So 1 2 and then 2 4, sorry 1 2 and then 2 3, sorry 1 2 3 4 5 6, yeah. So we need to make surfaces between line 1 and 2, then 3 and 4, but not 2 and 3. So how do we tell that? How do we convey that message to Grasshopper through script? So what I'm going to do is basically put a curl pattern, and what we need is consecutive. So true and false or false true repeatedly would work in this case. So I'm just going to put the list here and put a panel and then put true and false is a list. So right now I think, yeah, so right now it's false false true true is, yeah, so it's false false true true. We need true and false for consecutive pattern. Okay, so we need to convert it to multi-line data so that it does not read as text but a data. So here we have true false true false. Now we need to make another line or another set, sorry, not line, and I'm just gonna keep the data same, but in this case I'm gonna keep it a little bit shorter. Then in this case I'm gonna reverse the list so that we have one pattern is true false and then the other pattern would be false true false true. So now we need to connect line 1 of this set to line 1 of this set, and it will create a consecutive pattern just like zebra crossing. So I'm just gonna make a locked surface between each of these points. Okay, so what is happening here right now is that this is taking a list as a whole, so we need this each individual lines to be in its own set. So what for that, what I'm gonna do is just make it graphed so that it reads each one individually, and then I'm just gonna put a graphed again here. And I would recommend, if you don't understand the list or how sets work, don't go onto YouTube and watch the videos. I mean, that might help, but I think practicing throughout these scripts would help you naturally to learn how exactly these things work. So practice is the best thing to learn how graphs and flatten, all these commands run. These are, I think, one of the most important things in Grasshopper if you want to learn. And yeah, so let's move ahead. So now that we have zebra stripes is seen here, I think the next move would be to make those two lines thick and add a scale option to it. Now wait, so we have, okay, so we have first three parameters. Wait, I'll just rename this to this is stripe width. Cool. So this is stripe width. Okay, now what we are going to do is basically create an offset of these two lines. So for that I'm gonna again add a scale parameter, and for that we are gonna need a curve middle, and this I'm gonna double click on the curve so that we have one exterior input or output, and then I'm gonna put a scale here. I might use sometimes wrong terminologies for Grasshopper, but honestly, as long as it works, it's fine. So the midpoint would be the center, and yeah, it's here. And why I'm doing this, because once I copy this whole thing for the bottom one, it will be easier to just put the curve here rather than putting the curve inputs both the places again. So it's just for that, nothing, this does nothing special. It's just like a intersection of pipelines of Grasshopper, nothing else. So now what I need to do is again create an offset curve, and first we will put a factor for the scale, which would be, again I'll put 1.2 so that it gives a nice number slider from 0 to 10, and I'm gonna name this to scale line 1. Perfect. And factor here. And yeah, so now that we have a scale which is 1.2, just gonna put the geometry here into offset curve. Again, it's creating an offset which is way too high for our needs, so I'm just gonna reduce its distance to 0.3. Cool. And 0.3 seems pretty fine for now. Maybe I can change it to 0.2. Doesn't really matter, we can do that at the end. Yeah, so now we just need to do an offset so that it creates a nice surface between both, which is the curve here and here. And I'm just going to right click and flatten so that each set is its own different. Now here you cannot do graft because it's just one single curve in both. You can do graft if there are multiple different curves in each set, but here it's just one and one in both the things, so flatten would work. Now what I need to do is basically just copy this whole thing, select this, press Alt and copy it down so that I can just, whoop, actually I needed to copy that too. So I'm just gonna press Alt and here I'm just gonna keep the curve too, but all we need is actually one more. So I'm just gonna change it to distance for now. No, sorry, width line, so that we know what exactly. Now width line would be the same parameter for both, because obviously you need these two lines on the same width, because otherwise it's gonna look weird. You can do it separately as per your needs, but for now I'm just gonna keep the same. But all we need is a one more scale, line 2, because again these two lines can have different scales, and that's the whole point of us doing this thing separately. And I'm just gonna put the factor here so that we can manipulate these two lines scales differently, but then the width could be remain the same. Okay, so one thing that I'm noticing here is that the offset is on both the sides on the same direction. So for that, what we need to do is the second line, to change the direction of the offset of second line, we are just going to go right click here, expression, and press -X, so that our distance is negative, so that it's gonna offset on the opposite side, so it looks much better now. So now we have three surfaces here. The first is the edge, the second is the mid stripes, and the third is this one. So I'm just gonna set it real quick. So the scale line 1 should be, I guess, 0.9. So that again in the next video we are going to make a curve, so this line can go just underneath the curve, so this will look much cleaner, don't worry about that. And the second line should be a little bit more, 1.3 seems pretty fine. So what we need to do is, so that's it, and we are going to change the scale, because again as I said, we don't want the first stripe to be like this, looks weird. So I'm just going to change the scale a little bit, I guess 0. I don't know, 0.8 seems pretty okay. Yeah, as long as we have the lines, and then 0.1.1 here and 1.7 here. Yeah, maybe 6. Yeah, yeah. So this seems pretty nice for now. And now the only last thing that I would recommend doing is offsetting or extruding these surfaces, because again when you're gonna render it, I think these surfaces will flicker with the road surfaces. I think I know what exactly you know what exactly I'm talking about, because you don't want the surfaces of zebra crossing to be on the same as the road level, because it's not gonna look good in render. So just extrude a little bit. I would suggest like the minimal possible. So let's just put it in and do as minute as possible. I'll just put everything in one so that it's easier to handle these geometries. Base, just gonna put Z direction here. Okay, we don't want this high, we just want 0.01, I guess, just a little bit up. Yeah, this seems pretty good. Yeah, so this seems pretty good. And there you have it, you have your zebra crossing. Now you can use the script, keep this saved on your computer and use this in all the projects that you want to add a zebra crossing to. And then I'm just gonna show it and try one more line so that exactly know. Yeah, here, and then you can again change all the parameters as per your needs. So just I can just change the width, stripe width if I need it thicker here, and then scale line 1 can be bigger, scale line 2 can be a little bit shorter this time. Yep, here. I mean, it's gonna go under the curve anyways. Now again, you can click here and add more range to it. So it could be 1.20 so that you have much bigger control to this scale. But yeah, so that's it. I think this looks pretty fine. And also make sure to name these parameters. It will be easier when you come back. If you don't do that, you're going to get confused if you open the script like a week later and you're going to forget everything that you have made. So make sure to do that. Thank you for watching.